From Boston, Massachusetts, to Adelaide, Australia, and everywhere in between. Talking local and national sports and just about anything discussed in a tavern. Broadcasting from South Lyon, Michigan. Welcome to Easyspeak at Speakeasy 330 with your hosts, Rich and Tom.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Easyspeak podcast. My name is Tom, and tonight we are celebrating Memorial Day, paying tribute to all the men and women who sacrificed their lives so us idiots can do what we do on a weekly basis. So we're going to pay tribute to them tonight. We're going to talk a little Tigers. They had a really nice weekend up until today. There's Riley Green has been on a tear. Akil Badoo had a good month of May. And we're going to talk a little bit about AJ Hinch, the work he's been able to do with this team. So DeAndre Hopkins, cut. Where's a good fit for them? We're going to get into the NHL and NBA playoffs. They've gotten very interesting as of late. Tonight is Game 7 in Boston. And then Game 6 in Dallas in the NHL. We're also going to talk about the Mailman, Karl Malone. He offed his huge collection of Dream Team memorabilia for $5 million. Pretty cool. Talk about that. And we're going to get into what everyone's usual, I guess, holiday traditions are. What do you normally do? Do you barbecue? Do you go out, on the lake or whatever the case may be? And rapid fire. Little different this week. It should be pretty good. And our famous Ain't My Money, Not My Problem. So without further ado, we're going to bring in Mr. Rich Jasper. Rich, what is up, my friend?
Hey, Tom, how you doing? Just broadcasting from a new office.
New office, a new home. Exciting. It's starting to come together.
Yeah, I got to get used to this because I'm so used to seeing all the sports memorabilia in the background, and it's a blank canvas. So,
it's something to look forward to as the further out that you get.
Exactly.
Uh-oh.
We know who that is.
We all know that sound. Here he is. The man, the myth, the legend. JP the Giant. What's up, my friend?
Oh, just sitting here having a cold Sam's Cola. How's it going?
So how is that Sam's Cola? I have to ask.
It's pretty good. I got the diet version, obviously, for obvious reasons, but it's not bad.
What? Did you get the diet because you just got done eating 5 cheeseburgers and you figured you wanted to be somewhat healthy, so you got the diet?
Yeah.
What is this Sam's Cola you speak of?
You try to mix it in there a little bit. It's actually the Walmart version.
It's the bootleg.
The last one I had was Summit Cola from Aldi, but we're trying something new here. Yeah.
Hey, you know what?
Anything to save a buck around here.
Cost effective, that's for sure. So awesome.
I'm sitting here thinking it's like Samuel Adams, like a Sam Adams Cola. I'm like, what is this? And then so you were at Wally World and you picked yourself up a 6er of the old Sam's Cola. I got it. I got you.
Oh man. There you go.
There you go.
It looks like the old RC Cola.
That's
so JP, you went to the Tiger game yesterday. What was the atmosphere like there?
Yep. I thought it was pretty good. We got down there around noon for a 140 first pitch. Felt like there was a lot of people out. We went over before we went in, where I walked 8 flights of stairs and had to catch my breath before I drank the 2 beers I drank. But overall, it felt really good, man, and the way it should be. It's the minute this town gets any taste of winning, they great to be a part of, and the atmosphere was good, especially for a holiday weekend. You figure most people are out of town. So they said all weekend long, it was good there. I really enjoyed myself. Definitely going to be looking to go back for more.
Well, good. And that leads us into our first topic. It is the Motor City Kitties. Like I said in the intro, they had a pretty nice weekend, taking 3 or 4 from the White Sox. Excuse the train in the background. live internet TV. You never know what you're going to get. So, but as I was saying before, the Canadian Express rudely interrupted me. 3 or 4 from the White Sox. Big weekend for Riley Green. Big weekend for Akil Badoo. Definitely a lot to look forward to moving on. We'll start with you, Rich. What do you think that Riley Green is now kind of over that hump, that slump that he was in, from like the second half of last season till the first probably month of this year? Do you think he's over that?
Yeah, definitely. I think that last year when he went out for the injury and kind of never really got back to his composure or to his speed. Now he's kind of finding his way, and he's producing numbers. I think he's batting just below 300 or at 300. He's also he's hitting the hell out of the ball. His fielding percentage is good, as you can see from the stat line that's up there. 5 home runs, 18 RBIs. That really, when you look at that, it really doesn't look that impressive, I'll say. But given the time that he's been making those hits, they've been very timely. And I think not too far behind him is Torkelson. He's really he's coming up behind him, and he's really starting to get acclimated to it. I mean, he's hitting the ball hard. Everybody's like, well, he's not getting on base. But if you got a guy whose exit velo is 110 miles an hour off the bat,
yeah,
and I mean, every hit he's getting, I mean, he's absolutely scorching the ball. They're going to fall into place. His hits are going to come.
Yeah. JP, touch on that a little bit. I know I think we just lost JP. He was having some internet issues. He must have Drew's internet. But I guess, I was going to say he's been following him pretty closely, and he has been. He's pretty excited of the prospects of what Riley Green could possibly be, with this team based the last month, not only at the plate, but his fielding ability, like I put up on the screen there. He's a 982 fielding percentage. I mean, he's playing center field, is one of the hardest positions in baseball,
especially there, because it is it is the largest center field.
Well,
one of the largest ones.
You moved it in basically 20 feet, so he got used to it being 420. So I've seen him run into the wall a couple of times, and he did yesterday. Big time catch. So he definitely can field that position really well. Another player that just kind of woke up, started the season in Toledo, got called up fairly early, struggled a little bit, but Akil Badoo, what a nice May that he had, including a grand slam yesterday. 15 of his 16 RBIs have come in May. And, like Riley Green, he's got a 973 fielding percentage. He was in center and right. They moved him over to left field, so I think he's a little bit better in that position there. he's got lots of power. But one thing that we learned early on, that a lot of pitchers kind of figured him out.
Yeah.
But now he's starting to hit the curveball a little bit better, and he's just coming around a little bit. Do you feel like Akil Badoo is somebody that they're looking at long term for this team?
Honestly, I don't think so. That's just me. Was it last year he came on the scene hot as all get up, and me being a sports card collector, there was people that were buying his rookie card, and they were, and you sat in and listened to some of those auctions that I had, with Pat and George. There were some people that were spending buku bucks on his rookie card, autographed rookie card. Yeah. They were spending north of $100 on it, and then he fizzled out. And it's, but that's baseball, right? Baseball's going to be up and down. It definitely is it's a game of failure. You answer 3 questions right out of 10, you're a Hall of Famer.
That's true.
But in school, you're collecting coins at the car wash.
You're going to be doing some summer school. But Badoo 2 years ago, he flashed in the pan, spring training. He hit like 9 home runs in spring, so they had to invite him up, and he started out hot. I think he hit a 2 or 3 run homer in his first game. So he hit the ground running, but a lot of pitchers really figured him out early on. But he's come with a different approach at the plate. See, he's got his front foot. He kind of sits up on his toes. So I don't know if that's a balance thing to keep his hands back or keep his hips from, moving.
Well, whatever it is, just, keep doing it, keep doing it. And kind of like you said, how the pitchers kind of figured him out. Mm-hmm. That's the same that pitchers have figured out Riley Green. That's why he struggled a little bit.
Sure.
Torque, the same reason they struggled a little bit. And at times in our conversations offline, we've always made the comment of saying, maybe they need to send him down to Toledo, maybe to get his, get his shit together. So
get his mind right. Yeah.
But and that's part of being a professional, right? Professionals, very rarely do you see a player that a 5-tool player consistently play well besides like Shohei Ohtani or Mike Trout. Even Bryce Harper. Look at Bryce Harper. Bryce Harper was a stud when he came out, and he was up and down, up and down, up and down. But when you needed that hit, he was always that guy you can go to.
Right. Yeah, for sure. And I think part of Torkelson's issues last year were he came up through the system with Riley Green. Obviously, Green wasn't there because of a broken toe. And then when Green was there, I don't think he was mentally prepared. So this year, it was a bit of a slow start, but they're starting to come together, and you're seeing glimpses of what we can probably all agree we hope we see moving forward, especially when Skubal and Mize and Manning come back next year. So I just think there's opportunities there, and I'm looking forward to that. Miggy, it has been an absolute abysmal start of the season for Miggy. He's got no power. He's a singles machine. Gotta love the guy. And
is he really? What is he batting like? He's batting like 180, 190.
Meaning the only thing he does is hit singles. That's about it. You love what he's done for this franchise.
Oh, absolutely.
I get it's the retirement tour, but should the organization seriously sit him down and say, "Listen, Miggy, we love you, but we're trying to do something here," and it's just not happening. Can you see that happening, or I guess I should say, do you want that to happen?
All right, so I'm going to go into my analogies again, right? My analogies are always
get ready, folks.
So my analogy of the way that this is you need to hire 2 guys, and we'll need to call them the Bobs, right? You've got to hire the Bobs to come in and sit down and talk to the team. And what they need to do is, dude, he's like Milton. He should have been gone a while ago. They keep paying him. He keeps showing up. Mm-hmm. They need to fix the glitch, right? And they just, and the thing is, and I'm not, and there was the local radio station was hammering on it too. And I very rarely ever agree with them. but I agree with him on this one. If you're trying to make your ball club better,
Mhm.
you got a guy who isn't producing for you anymore like you expect him to, right?
Sure.
And it's kind of like it's time to like say, hey, you know what? If you want to ride with the team and collect your your free gifts while you're hitting every town, come on and hop on the plane. But it's
Yeah.
time for you to go. I mean, what it boils down to, it's like these famous people. Think about the royal family. Queen Elizabeth died.
Mm.
Her funeral was like 2 weeks long. It's like this is
Oh,
pretty much what they're doing to Miggy.
they had to
His
put that
career,
old lady on ice.
his career's dead.
Yes.
And you're
Yes.
just parading, you're parading them around so everybody can get, say farewell.
Right.
It's a shame. It really is.
The only difference is he's not in a coffin. He's
No,
on the baseball field. Obviously, he's playing DH, so you're taking that away. But yeah, I mean, it's just where they're at right now. I mean, they're a stone's throw away from Minnesota for first in the Central.
yeah, were they 2 games out?
They're two now after the loss today, but they're right there. And I guess that leads to my next question. I think we're all pretty much surprised where they are. This is the best they've been in the last 3 or 4 years. Last year they came out with all the hype. Everybody thought that they could possibly win the Central, and they did absolutely nothing. Unfortunately, there was a lot of injuries involved. But this year, I mean, I don't think anybody gave them a chance to do anything. And yeah, they're 2 games under 500, but I thought they would be closer to 20 at this point. So, looking in the future here, where do you see them, say, the All-Star break? Do you think there's a realistic opportunity here that they could possibly be making a run for first place by that time?
So, yes, I think there's a possibility of them making a run for first place. But let's take a step back.
Mhm.
The AL Central
Well,
is
yeah, it's terrible.
garbage. It's garbage.
Mhm.
Because I mean, honestly, I think the only way any team from the AL outside, I don't think there's any team in the AL Central that would make it as a wild card team
Mm-mm.
at all, because the East is absolutely
Well,
powerhouse
the
and the
last place
West
team
is.
the last place team in the East would be the first place in the Central. So that kind of
Yeah,
goes to show you where the strengths
yeah.
in the American League are.
So I think honestly, when you look at it from from a perspective standing outside the box, yeah, they could contend for first place. Yeah, they probably could if they kept grinding out every series and at least try to take, not, I mean, all of them you're just not going to do, but at least you can take at least 1 or 2 games in a series, a 3-game series, or even
Mm.
split.
Sure.
You give yourself that better of a chance. I mean, it's just mathematics, right?
Right.
But I think they're going to have no problem winning in division. But I think is when they match up against the East. I think when they match up against the West, anybody in the NL, I think they're going to have a struggle with. But
Well,
it's going to be exciting to see.
they're 10-1 versus, or 9-1 versus the NL early on in interleague play. So
It's early. It's early.
yeah, I mean, it's a good sign. And here we're going into June, and we're watching, for the most part, it's fun to watch.
It is fun baseball. It
They're,
is fun baseball to watch.
they're competing. Where, like I said earlier, nobody ever thought that they would be where they are. So I mean, it's exciting. And
Mhm.
and I guess that kind of flows into this next point here. Do you think AJ Hinch should be at least in the conversation for potentially manager of the year, being what he's been able to put together with kind of just some throw-ins that they've put together this year? I mean, you take Miggy, he's doing nothing. Jonathan Scope, he's doing nothing. So some of the veterans aren't holding down anything. It's the Ibanez and the McKinstry that they got in late. So a lot of these kind of retreads that they brought in that seem to be the ones making things happen. So is Hinch doing a really good job here, and should be considered?
Well, yes and no. He's the one who's making the lineup card, right? He's the one who's making the final decision on who's getting the play time, who's being slotted in position in these different times, right? I think a lot of that credit goes towards your general manager. I think by him going out and finding serviceable players, right?
Yeah.
And finding serviceable players with a cheap ass owner. I think he's doing a great job.
With an owner who has no desire to spend any
No.
money. I mean,
Nope.
on
He's
his
trying to recoup all the money that his dad spent
Mhm.
and everything like that, which he's a terrible owner. He really is.
he's cares less about the baseball team and the stadium. I mean, the stadium it's an
Yeah.
embarrassment. You got seats that are chipped. They didn't paint anything, and there's black
It's because
mold.
they spent all that money to move the fence line in so
Yeah.
Miggy might hit more home runs.
Right, exactly. I mean, they were
Well,
trying
they
to
should have they should have made it like 350. They should have made it all of his hits go to right field. They should have brought that in about 275. It'd have been great.
Yeah, and that's another problem. He's just he's late on everything. I don't know. It's unfortunate
That's a whole nother show.
Yeah, it's unfortunate that you're seeing one of the greatest of all time, and it's been kind of an embarrassment. So, but anyways, it's fun to see what could happen with the Tigers. I think JP had to reset his internet. The lovely town of Wyandotte gives him one option for internet, and it's
Wyandotte.
it's been giving him fits. So hopefully he can get that squared up. So moving on to our next topic here, DeAndre Hopkins recently cut from the Arizona Cardinals. And there's some potential landing spots that he could go. Hearing a lot of rumors.
What do you think, Tom? Where do you think he's going to land?
The logical place for me is Cleveland because he's got history with DeAndre Hopkins. Cleveland is desperate.
You mean he's with Deshaun Watson?
Who did I say?
You call him DeAndre Hopkins.
Oh my gosh.
Yep. I hope Hopkins has chemistry with Hopkins.
Oh, rub and tug Watson. But
there you go.
Yeah, so
got his cock clean.
Yeah, did he do
got his cock clean?
He might have did the little flip.
So
no, they have history. Obviously, they played in Houston together. Cleveland is desperate for a playmaker. So there's that familiarity that I think logically makes sense. I could see the Chiefs making a big run at him because why not, right? You put a guy who's kind of you've wondered where his head's been the past couple of years. He's got all the talent in the world, and he just hasn't put it together. So you put him with an Andy Reid, you put him with a quarterback like Patrick Mahomes. Focus, get him back on his game, and look, they win another Super Bowl. But who do you feel, or what do you think the logical landing spot for him is?
Well, the question I want to find out is, all right, we know obviously it was probably a money cut, but there had to be something else, right? There had to be something else. Maybe it was, because Kyler Murray makes all that money. Maybe he was like, well, maybe him and Kyler didn't get along, so they just got rid of him. But
I mean, yeah, that could be the case.
Everybody's talking about Cleveland, just exactly what you said, because they do have some history with him and Deshaun Watson. I also hear a lot of people saying Detroit, which I'm not a fan of it. And people are saying Jets.
Yeah.
Some people are saying the Jets. I don't think the Jets have the money to do it.
Well, the Jets were hot after Beckham. They were really trying to make a play for him. So, I mean, it's the Jets. I think if there's an opportunity to pick him up, I think they make a run at him. But does he want to play in that fan base? I guess that's the key question.
One of the things is when you look at it from this standpoint, the Chiefs don't need a guy like that to win. They've
No.
proved it.
Mhm.
They got rid of Tyreek Hill, still win without him.
Sure.
There's also people saying that it's a possibility that he might go to Miami. There's people talking about that.
Yeah.
So if he went to Miami, I mean, Jesus. I mean, you got
I-
you got the cheetah on one side, you got size and strength, and you got
Mhm.
speed on the other side.
I mean, he'd
You
come
know.
in and be your number 3. I mean, essentially, and
Yeah.
you've set the table for Tua there. I don't think he goes to a situation that's not a winner at this point. I think he's going to pick and choose. Obviously, it's a cap hit, so whoever gets him now, it's kind of free reign. They're not going to be held responsible for that contract. So, oh, look at that, good old Pops, Cedric Tillman. Yeah, the rookie out of Tennessee. So, I mean, you put him on that lineup with Amari Cooper and DPJ. That no excuses. That's kind of where I'm looking at it for Watson. And if he doesn't, win, because obviously at this point Cleveland will be
filling holes.
So if he doesn't win, he's going to have to.
Got his cock clean.
I'm telling you right now. I like that. I like that. So.
I like how Big Terry comes in and just throws all that Cleveland stuff on us. Hey, I like that.
Dad's dialed in to WKNR everyday Cleveland sports talk. So he's plugged in with the local scene there in Cleveland. So thanks for watching, good. Dad. Appreciate it.
It'll be interesting to see what happens.
Yeah, it's going to be a bidding war, I think. Obviously, you haven't really heard too much about it in a while. He was cut the other day, so it's one of those things. Like I think in the background there's some things happening. So, but yeah, it's going to be fun to sit back and see where he goes, and obviously wherever he goes, he's going to be impactful. So, moving on. My goodness, these playoffs have been unbelievable. We're going to start in the NHL. You got the Florida Panthers sweeping the Carolina Hurricane. Man, Matthew Tkachuk, Clutch, more like it. 3 out of the 4 game winners, 2 in overtime. Game 1 in the 4th overtime, almost went into the 5th, which is incredible. So that was a bit of a surprise. They've kind of just went through the gauntlet and came out. Just no one put them where that they were going to be in the cup. I don't think anybody thought that that's where they were going to be. And then on the flip side, you've got Dallas was left for dead. You got Jamie Benn, who goes out for a 2-game suspension, and look what happened. They take 2. Game 6 going on right now. Vegas actually has the lead 1-0 in the first, but exciting, very exciting series. And we'll start there with Vegas. They kind of, jump out to a 3-0 lead, and this game goes into overtime in game 4, and Dallas squeaks out a winner in overtime. So what are your thoughts of this series? Like, I feel like Dallas they didn't have their legs, and they just didn't seem like they had it all together. Robertson wasn't scoring. Now he's scoring again. So,
he's got 5 goals this series,
and he had 2 coming into it. So,
well, I'm telling you right now, this is how. If you look at the score, right?
Yeah.
So both teams are very good, very deep teams. I think that trade that they made, I mean, they gave up a lot to get Jack Eichel, but I think in the long term that really helped them out. But Dallas, and they kept fighting, and the last game, which was 2 nights ago, it was it was crazy because you knew that Dallas was probably going to take that game because within like a minute and a half, 2 minutes after um, Vegas scored a goal, Dallas would come right back and answer.
Mhm.
And it was like, so it went back and forth. It was 1-0, 1-1, 2-1, 2-0.
Yeah.
And then Dallas poured it on and scored. Was it Ty? I think it was Ty Delandria scored.
He scored back to back. He
back to
scored
back.
to make it 3-2, and then he got the next goal, which
he
was like almost 2 minutes later.
Yeah.
He
was a product of the Plymouth Whalers, just like Tyler Sagan was. So it's nice to see some hometown guys. Really not hometown, but they played their junior hockey here, so
right.
it was good to see that.
And here it is right here. But yeah, I mean it was neck and neck, and he got that real nice play. He scores, and like I said, he came back down, and I think here's the play right here. Yeah, right here. Just nasty through the legs, snipe. Just a huge goal and unexpected from him, and took the crowd out. Vegas, they were jumping, and once that goal hit, it got real quiet. And then obviously they score again. Ended up winning. It was what, 5-2? I think the final was
4-2.
4-2.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, looking at the game right now, it's
not looking good right now.
Well, we know what 2-goal leads in hockey seem to be like. So
nothing. They don't mean anything.
It wouldn't surprise me in the least that Dallas finds their way back into this game. But I do want to hit on another situation that happened, like I said earlier. Jamie Benn. What's going on with this guy? He did this to Larkin a couple years ago, and he does this in a conference finals. Cheap shot to Mark Stone. I mean, cross checks him in the head as he's on the ground. Is this guy the maybe one of the top 5 dirtiest players in hockey?
Oh, he's up there. Oh, especially being a captain of your team, you can't be doing stupid shit like this. You just can't. I mean, also, yeah, I get it. The play's over. You knocked him down, and then for you to drive your stick into the guy's in the side of his head and his neck.
And look where the official is too. Did he think he was going to get away with that? There's the linesman standing right there. It's like you just took, like you say, he's the captain, and he's supposed to be setting the example, and he's doing stuff like this. Do you think
it was like within 2 minutes of the beginning of the game? It's not like it was,
right.
Dude. The game just started. It just started, and you do stupid shit like you took yourself out of the game for that game. So you essentially missed 3 games.
3 games, yeah.
You missed 3 games. And you know what? It proves to ownership, it proves to fans, it proves to the team they don't need you.
No.
They don't need you.
And they came out in game 4, and they were a different team. Like I said earlier, Robertson decided he was going to score. Now he's a local. Didn't he play in Little Caesars?
I believe so, yeah.
I think he's a local kid, but I mean, he's a dynamic scorer, and he's put it up in this series. So 2-0, like I said, there's just under 9 minutes to play in the first. We'll see how that game goes as we move on. And everyone's, I guess, lovable team to follow, the Florida Panthers.
Yeah.
Just absolutely stun Carolina. They take the first 2 on the road and come home, and they, they're throwing rats on the ice like it's 1996. Just so awesome. A team that no one ever thought was going to amount to a whole lot in this playoff run. But even Brooks Koepka, who was on a 3-day bender here, who, my God, did he blink his eyes? I think the camera was on him for like 2 minutes solid, and he just kept clapping, and he didn't blink. But like I said earlier, Tkachuk, 3 game-winning goals, unbelievable. Bobrovsky, if you're talking about somebody to have something to have in the playoffs. You got to have a goalie to, quote, stand on his head. I think that's the most ridiculous phrase in all of sports, but he is doing it. So they obviously advanced to their second Stanley Cup, which is really exciting. And so I guess if they play either Dallas or Vegas, you got to like their chances, because clearly they have not been afraid to take out Boston, the regular season best season that anyone's had in the NHL, gone. They go to Toronto, who we know Toronto is one of the best players in the world. Game 7, gone. And now 4-game sweep to Carolina. There isn't anybody out there that scares these guys.
No, and and I've said it from the beginning of the playoffs. They weren't my pick to make it to the finals. I'll be honest with you, but they're not a bad team. I mean, that's the thing is they're a deep team just like Vegas is, and that's they can cycle 3 to 4 lines and get good production out of all of them.
Yeah, I mean, and you have. We talked about it last week. Kachuk is just so gritty, and when he's not on your team, you hate him because he gets under your crawl, But he was right there. He was right there for the rebound. He gets the goal. 4.3 seconds left. Hey, look who it is. There's Brooks right there.
Yeah.
He was drinking out of the trophy. He also was in Miami too for the Heat game, making rounds after the PGA Championship win. But I just think it's fun to watch, and this is exactly why the Stanley Cup playoffs are superior to any other league, because you can take a team that battled the last 2 weeks of the season just to make the playoffs, and here they are. They're going to the Cup.
Yep. Yeah, it'll be definitely interesting to see them, hopefully, because the last time they were in the finals, they got swept out. So it'd be nice to see. It'd be nice to see them maybe put a fight up or maybe even win a championship. So I'll take it.
Yeah. And one thing I did notice, they filled that place. And I know you have opinions of that arena. It's not very nice, but it was good to see that the fans actually showed up, because some of them fans, I mean, look at down up the road in Tampa with the Devil Rays, we can't say the Devil Rays, the Rays, best team in baseball. What do they draw? 3,000 a game? They shut the upper deck down. So, but I mean, I think that was the big question going in. Like, are they going to be able to sell it out, or is it going to be more, opposing teams fans? So it's good to see the energy in there, and I look forward to what they're going to be doing here, moving on in the Cup finals. Going on to the NBA. Lakers, boy, they look bad. They look real bad. And those Celtics looked real bad until, they didn't. So this game just tipped off. Game 7, 9-4 early lead for the Celtics. But I want to start with the Nuggets Lakers here. 4-game sweep, like I said. Jokic gets the MVP, making their first trip to the NBA Finals. I look at the Nuggets a lot like Florida. Just no real superstars. Yes, Jokic is a superstar, but he's a quiet superstar. Obviously going up against the powerhouse Lakers. And in this series, Anthony Davis looked pretty good. LeBron, little slow, came out game 4 on fire, 31 points, ends up with 40. He kind of fizzled out, as it was his best performance in any playoff game in his career. So I guess we're looking at a situation where, LeBron hinted that he might think about calling it quits. Do you think this is a possibility with him, or is it just LeBron being LeBron, just trying to stay in the headlines when he knew they just got swept?
Honestly, if you look at it, the guy has pretty much never had a break ever. Every time there's been a couple seasons where he hasn't gone deep. I think he's worn down, to be honest with you.
I agree with that.
I think he's worn down. I wouldn't be surprised if he does a Tom Brady retirement, right?
Go on a 2-month vacation.
Yeah, well, you know what? He could go and retire and then come back next year when
Yeah.
his son leaves and wherever his son. He's made it very clear that he wants to play with Bronny,
Yeah.
which is fine. I mean,
The
I don't fault the guy
Pistons-
for that.
The Pistons, thanks to our good friend Tim, the Pistons have the third highest percentage opportunity as we sit right here to get Bronny next year. But we all know how that draft lottery works.
Yeah, we know how that works.
Yeah, right.
But I don't. When it comes to that, he didn't play bad. I think it came out. Didn't he say he was injured too? That he wasn't 100%.
Well, he rolled his ankle. I think it was in game 1, I believe, and then I think he tweaked it again in game 3. So
Yeah,
he was very uncharacteristic. He missed a dunk, a wide open dunk. He got stripped at the end of game. I think it was game 2. He was going up for a layup and he got stripped. He had like 2 turnovers in the last probably 30 seconds of that game. He just didn't look himself, and I'm sure he was hurt. I mean, this guy's 20th season in the NBA and 39 years old. He's made these long runs and it's tolling. I mean, look at the Pistons back in the day. What is it? They had 5 or 6 straight Eastern Conference Finals trips. I mean, they just wore out. I mean, they're playing basketball into June. It takes its toll. And when you play as aggressive as he does, sooner or later he's going to get knocked down a notch. So I agree. My initial thought was this is just smoke and mirrors and maybe some frustrations about where people thought that they were going to do this year, and obviously they were the odds-on betting favorite to win the NBA Finals going into that round. And I guess this is why I don't bet. So
yeah.
But you got to look at what Denver was able to do, and man, that's a solid team led by Jokic.
Yeah.
Jamal Murray just lights out from the 3, just a floor leader. They're going to go basically a week and a half without competitive basketball. Does that help or hurt a team that just seems to be rolling? I look at the 2006 Tigers. They were rolling, and then they had 7 days off, and the momentum kind of shifted. So do you think that's a situation where this layoff is going to hurt that team?
I don't think the layoff is going to hurt them. I think what's going to hurt them is they're playing a team from the East. I mean, the Eastern Conference is absolutely stacked this year. I would rather play Boston in the finals as opposed to playing against Miami, even though I'd like to see Miami win. But Denver's got to be hoping that Boston is their matchup. I think given the cachet behind every time Miami goes deep into the playoffs, they're always a contender to win. So I would definitely take my chances against Boston, but I don't think the team is. I don't think that the layoff is going to hurt them, but I don't think it's going to be beneficial for them either.
I think this is going to benefit Jokic. He's 7'2", and he plays at such a high level. He's a madman on the court. So I think when you give him an opportunity to rest up his legs, that could be good for him. But ultimately, it always scares me when there's that long layoff. And coming into game 4 of the next series we're going to talk about, we thought both teams were going to have a week and a half layoff.
Yeah.
But, not the case. What a crazy series. Boston, man, they were left for dead. Go to game 4, they squeak one out, and a lot of the players were talking, don't let us win game 4. What happens? They win game 4 and they absolutely mollywop them in game 5. And then game 6, slightly controversial at the end. Why they put an extra 9/10 of a second on the clock, I am not sure, which ultimately led to this here. Unbelievable play. Derek White tips it in. I mean, just barely beating the buzzer.
Yeah.
If they don't put 9/10 of a second back on that clock, this play never happens.
Nope.
I guess that leads to my big point here. The officiating has been suspect, in my opinion. There was a lot of calls on Miami, and they just weren't calling them for Boston. Little bit of a discrepancy with free throws. And then ultimately that extra 9/10 of a second. And I was reading an article today, said, the Celtics coach challenged it because he didn't think it was a foul. They change it to a foul, 3-point opportunity, and then they add the time on the clock. So very questionable as to why they did what they did, but it led to their winning, which was unbelievable. Just an unbelievable finish and only fitting for the way this series and now ultimately is going. Like we've talked about before, no team in NBA history has ever come back from 3-0. Ironically enough, another Boston team did it several years ago. The Red Sox, down 3-0 against the Yankees, come back and win. They end up winning the World Series. So the Boston luck of the Irish mojo might be coming into play here. Obviously, Game 7 on the parquet floor in Boston. Do you think we're going to see history tonight?
For Denver's sake, yes. But I think Jimmy Butler's going to show up tonight.
Butler was very non-existent up until I think the last 5 minutes in Game 6, and
he's due for it.
He started being aggressive, and they were talking about it in the broadcast. He just wasn't. He was giving up the ball. He wasn't really making the initiative to go to score. He was kind of dishing it out, and that's not his game. He started being a little bit more aggressive, got to the free throw line, hit the 3 huge free throws, which I think a lot of people thought was going to be the game winner. But you know what? There's still a lot of time, and being able to inbound from half court helped them. So if Butler kind of plays his game, they're up by 3 now with just under 3 to play. They're up by 5 now. So 16-11 with just under 3 to play in the first. Butler plays his game. Get those Celtics in foul trouble. They do have a chance. Mix in some key 3-point shooting and who knows, but it's been awesome. I mean, I think we were going to see sweeps all across the board, and now we don't. So it's definitely made it pretty exciting moving on. So we'll see. I think the graphic here, home teams win 75% of the time in Game 7s. I mean, this is a different situation for Boston here, obviously being down 3-0. But I've got like keys to win for Boston. They got to keep doing what they did in the last game. They were just hitting huge 3-pointers. When Miami would go on a run, they just stopped it with a 3. And they were getting the ball down low to Williams, a lot of offensive rebounds, and they got to stay disciplined, stay out of foul trouble. And then on the flip side, for Miami, they can't give up those offensive rebounds that lead to usually 3-point shots. You got to have Duncan Robinson hitting those big threes. He missed 2 huge ones in the last 2 minutes in Game 6, and the bench has to put a little bit more work on. And so for Miami to win this game, Rich, what do you feel needs to happen?
Well, Jimmy Butler's got to play, right? He's got to play like he's normally plays, not the last 5 minutes of the game. They need to control the um, they need to control the offensive rebounds. They need to control the boards. They don't do that. Um, they're in trouble. But one of the things they need to do is they need to make sure that they do their best to guard the perimeter, right? Because the 3-pointer is what's been killing them.
Mhm.
So
Yeah, I agree with that. They give up less on that three, stops those big runs, and Boston has definitely capitalized on it. But Dave Portnoy, after game 3, he was he had shirts made up, so he thought it was going to go 5, and then he took it off Boston in 6, and then they're down 3-0. He goes Boston in 7, so he's stayed behind his team. So uh, this night's going to be interesting as we approach the near the second quarter. So moving on to kind of a little fun thing here. Karl Malone
the
auctions off.
mailman.
Yeah, the mailman auctions off his prized possession, which is uniform, including shoes from each member of the 1992 Dream Team. Now, Netflix has a series now. It's the Golden Auctions, who's the one who was responsible for this auction. So, and this was one of the episodes that they were initiating the exchange. He has them placed. He's got one of his stores out in Salt Lake, but the upstairs is like a shrine to basketball, and he had lockers set up with the jerseys and the shorts and then the shoes. So it was a pretty good situation. It goes for $5 million. This is your wheelhouse. You're a card collector, and you always look for cool little pieces of memorabilia. 5 million for what would probably end up being one of the greatest uh assembly of basketball players ever in the history of the game. So do you think 5 million is about right?
Um, I would probably venture to say that was pretty close. If you think about it, a lot of people are going to pay the top dollar just for Jordan stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, because Jordan stuff is what's going to sell. Um,
It went
so
for
I think,
3.2 million Jordan's
yeah,
uniform. At 3.2 of the 5 million. So yeah, people wanted
yeah,
that.
yeah,
And
and
they,
then everything else that goes with it. Um, that's the biggest draws. Jordan is probably one of the most sought after collectible memorabilia, autographs, cards, shoes. I mean, if you think about it, even an unsigned Jordan shoe from 91 or even earlier, that they're worth a lot of money,
sure.
and
And
people pay money for them.
especially now that Air is out and kind of seeing the history of Jordans, and so it's hot. It's on front of everyone's minds of collectors, and so I
It's
guess
it's
that
not it's not like, so I'm not a big basketball memorabilia fan. However, I would, if I had an extra 3.2 million laying around, I probably would have bought the Jordan stuff for sure.
oh yeah,
Just because I know that there's a market, and a lot of it, and here's the thing is, a lot of people have to realize, like, oh my god, I can't believe somebody, I think it's $5 million. It's only worth what somebody's willing to pay for it. That's what
that's
everybody
true.
has to really, like we were talking earlier about the Akil Badoo.
Mhm.
People are spending up north of $100 for an autograph Akil Badoo card. It's only the value. They can say, "Yeah, this is worth X amount of dollars," but it's only what somebody's willing to pay you for it. So if
Sure.
somebody's willing to pay you $3.2 million for a Jordan jersey, but then you look at it, it's like, all right, if Karl Malone is selling this, Karl Malone's broke.
And as I was watching that segment, I think it's the last episode of the series. There's like 5 episodes on Netflix, unless they've released more. I haven't seen, but that was the first thing that came to mind. Like, why is he why is he selling this? Like, this is, and you could see like the passion behind it. His mission was to get every uniform. So seeing that he ended up selling it, I kind of thought the same thing. Like, this guy's something's going on, and we all know Karl Malone's got a bit of a sketchy
But
past.
but here's the thing. When you're a collector, like I know some guys that collect, and I collect LK line stuff. You know that. I collect the
Mhm.
LK line. And there's another guy I know that collects LK line. And so what he does is he'll buy like an LK line rookie card. It might be graded at a 2. So then he'll go and he'll get everything he's got to get, and then he'll go and he'll try to sell it and upgrade. So maybe Karl Malone is maybe trying to upgrade. I don't know,
Yeah.
but that's a hell of a haul for somebody.
Oof.
If you got 5 million laying around,
Yeah, it's
I would just get the Jordan stuff. I would probably take the Christian Leitner one and probably use it as a toilet mat and whatnot.
Bird jersey. I believe his uniform went for, I think it was the second highest, was about 600,000.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, for sure.
I mean, that's a golden era of basketball, which, obviously Isaiah Thomas was snubbed from that team because of what he did the 91 Eastern Conference Finals, leaving the court with under 3 minutes to play. But yeah, it just awesome collection, a dream collection. So whoever ends up with that has definitely got something that they can hold their hat on. So moving on, today is Memorial Day. As we started the show off with, we want to, give our respects to the brave men and women who have sacrificed for our freedom, for our ability to, do what we do today, and
Couple jackasses on.
yeah, I mean, it's awesome, and I don't think they get enough credit, and I think people don't, pay much attention to what we do have in this country, and who is to credit for it. So tonight we want to kind of highlight some well-known athletes that served in the armed forces, and we'll start with our local connection. This I did not know. Ty Cobb spent 67 days overseas in the Army before receiving an honorable discharge. I wonder who he
Yeah. No.
hit upside the head to get honorably discharged, but did not know that about Ty Cobb. Just adds more to the lore of who he was.
He's probably throwing popcorn at people.
Well, hopefully he didn't have any cleats, because if he did, he was going to be cleating some Germans or something.
Yeah.
But moving on to a player that I know my dad was watching when he was growing up, Larry Doby, who played for the Tigers and the Indians and White Sox as well. He was in the armed forces, so that is pretty cool to see. Joe Louis, gosh, if there's anybody that speaks Detroit, that represents Detroit, it was Joe Louis. In an era that he came up, what he did, what he went through, he was a superstar, and that didn't happen for a lot of African American athletes. So that was pretty cool. So he went over and served. So that was awesome to see. Hammer and Hank Greenberg, Tiger legend. He served. Unfortunately passed away in a fishing accident. And then we have Joe DiMaggio, who was probably one of the most famous baseball players in his era. He served in the Air Force. Ted Williams, whose head's currently frozen in a cryogenic chamber, but
Yep.
that's a different story. He was famously in the Marine Corps. He left. And Bob Feller, I meant to put this on. Bob Feller was on his way. I just heard the story the other day. Bob Feller was on his way to sign his contract as Pearl Harbor happened, and he decided he needed to enlist. So he enlisted, from 42 to 45, and then came and played for Cleveland. And we all know the Hall of Fame career that he had. And this is a no-brainer. I'm representing him right now with his Arizona State jersey. This is one of my, favorite pieces that I have up hanging in the speakeasy. Pat Tillman, selfless. He was on the verge of greatness in the NFL, was about to sign a life-changing contract, and he chose to serve his country because he felt that was where he was needed more. And due to some circumstances that I don't think have really ever come out, he lost his life. Friendly fire in Afghanistan in 2004. And man, that story rocked the world when that happened. And in this day and age, I think looking in the World War II era, the Korean War era, a lot of baseball players, that they played baseball, but they had careers outside in the off season. So it wasn't uncommon to see a lot of these athletes going off to war, signing up, because baseball and sports weren't looked at like they are. But today, a player, Pat Tillman, who, if he was still playing today, he would be a superstar. To say, you know what, this football thing is frivolous. There's bigger things, and I need to be a part of it. So unbelievable. What are your thoughts on Pat Tillman?
I mean, yeah, like you said, there's a lot of questions on what happened, regardless of whether it was, people feel as if though it was more of a friendly fire type thing or like that. The man decided to forego giving, like you said, a life changing contract, right, to serve his country. And there's not many people who would turn down that opportunity. That guy turned down millions of dollars to serve his country during a time where he felt that it was more important, and it was more important to him and possibly more important to the country,
Right.
to have somebody serve. So, I mean, I commend him.
Mm.
I think it's great.
Yeah, I mean,
And can you imagine how good or how gross the numbers would be if Ted Williams didn't go serve in World War II?
Did he 2 years? I think he was out of baseball.
Yeah, can you imagine that?
Yeah,
Can you imagine what his numbers would have been?
it's scary, and to know that he was at the top of his game when he went,
Yep.
and then when he came back, boom,
Like didn't even skip a beat. Yep, didn't even
It's
skip a beat.
just a generational talent for him. But once again, we just wanted to highlight some athletes that went the extra mile, and there's so many more that we could talk for hours on it. That gave up playing time to go and serve, which was awesome. Awesome. Selfless acts that you don't normally see from athletes. So it's good to see. But obviously the Memorial Day holiday, it's a time for, doing a little grilling. I spent the weekend out on the boat. You could see my googly raccoon eyes, I'm sure.
Yeah.
What does a Memorial Day weekend look like for you, Rich, if you weren't moving?
Yeah. Normally what it is the last couple of years is, I've gone and I have friends that have a pool. I've gone and hung out at a pool and barbecued and did stuff like that. Do some corn toss, stuff like that. I'm not a big guy that likes to be out in the sun or anything like that. So for me, it's if you got air conditioning, I'm there. I'm not one that's I don't like getting sunburned. I don't like getting tan. I don't like any of that. So for me, it's a little bit different. But yeah, this one just happened to be, just in the process of moving. So just doing that, and then 3 years ago, I was down in South Carolina picking up Clyde. So
Mr. Clyde.
So
the world famous Mr. Clyde.
The world famous Mr. Clyde. I have a shirt that says "Best Dog Dad" on there, so with his picture on it. So it's all good.
He's a legend.
So, but yeah, I mean, normally your traditional backyard celebration and stuff like that. And a lot of people, it's not about like, oh, I'm going to have this big shindig or big party. Really, it's time to sit back and reflect on those who made the ultimate sacrifice, right?
Sure. You
So
can't forget.
we had the Memorial Day parade right out in front of our house, today. So it was nice seeing people come out and support that event. It's funny, you'll get 100,000 people down there for Pumpkin Fest, and you get 110 people for a Memorial Day parade. It's like, stuff like that. I've done things where we've putting flags on
grave sites
and stuff like that. So I mean, I've done that too. So
yeah, that's awesome, man. That's awesome. Obviously, we are now the official start of the summer, even though I do believe, what is it, June 21st or 22nd?
Yeah,
is the official start, but we all know that it starts Memorial Day weekend. The big question in the state of Michigan, where does up north start? And I saw the other day on Twitter, a lot of the Detroit Twitter people were, and this comes up every year. Where's the official start of up north? Is it the Zilwaukee Bridge? Is it Frankenmuth? Is it Mount Pleasant? Is it the UP? I don't think so, my opinion. But Rich, where do you put the official start of up north? Where is it at?
I would probably say north of West Branch, probably. That's what would be considered up north to me, north of West Branch.
Yeah.
I think exit 212, I think.
No clue.
Yeah.
No clue.
Yeah.
I'm one to usually says, Tim says north of Saginaw for us. Yeah. I'm the Zilwaukee Bridge guy. What you cross that bridge that as a child, I was scared to death to go over it. Because you heard the horror stories, you got the steel from China, and there's a whole fiasco and under that one. And Tim says it's exit 202. So.
Thanks, Tim. 202. That's what it was.
I
know 230. I know exit 239 or 241 is Higgins Lake, I think. So
the only exit that I know for sure is exit 69, Big Beaver, but that's not up north. That's not up north at all. For some people, it might be, but not for me.
So as a kid, I have to ask you, as a kid, do you remember the Zilwaukee Bridge when it was a drawbridge?
No, but I do remember when they were building it, we had to drive. They like had the road that went alongside of it. And
dude,
we
remember
didn't go up there very often. Only a couple times, but I just remember being scared. Like it was the biggest thing I'd ever seen. You couldn't see over the side. That was one thing that always scared the crap out of me about.
Yeah. No, I mean, I remember it. I remember when it was a drawbridge, and it'd be stuck up for. You'd be parked on 75, waiting. It sucked. It sucked.
Yeah, I can imagine.
But now it's just up and over, and you're there. So.
Yeah, I mean, don't get up there very often, but this is the season. We took the boat up a couple years ago to Charlevoix. You were with us. Yeah. That was an awesome weekend. Lake Charlevoix.
Yeah, nice. As Jim Price would say, nice area.
Yeah. And took it out on Lake Michigan. Had a really nice time. So, looking forward to more of those trips in the future. But moving on to our newer segment here, and we were really hoping that JP was a part of it. JP, we missed you tonight. His internet decided didn't want to go live tonight. He was having some issues. We thought it was squared away, but he kept popping in the green room, and immediately it was pulling him out. So hopefully next week he'll be here. JP is an absolute monster in the show, brings just so much knowledge, and when he's not here, we definitely feel it. So, but we're going to move on to our new segment, Rapid Fire. Last week we unveiled it. This week we're going to kind of go a different route. So I'm going to flash a logo on the screen, Mr. Rich, and you tell me the first player that comes to mind when you get it. And here's a hint: you were watching me doing this earlier today while I was doing pre-show production. So I think you have an idea of some of the teams that I'm going to flash up. So the first one here,
Peyton Manning.
the one and only. That's a good one. This one could be good. I'm curious what your answer is going to be on this one.
Oh man, I'd probably say Drew Brees.
I'm going to go old school. Bobby Hebert. Bobby Hebert, famously Michigan Panther, brought the Saints back in the late 80s.
Who is the kicker from there that had the
Morton Anderson, the duck
no, no, I'm talking about the guy that had like half a foot.
Oh, Jan Stanovich or Jan something. I know if Pops is watching, he would.
Morton Anderson, I like that. Yeah.
Reggie Bush, yeah, he was.
Yeah.
Well, that he probably more known for another team that logo's coming up here in a minute.
Oh, Jeff George.
Wow, you pulled one out of the trash heap.
It was either him or Brett Favre, because that's who Favre got drafted by.
Well, who was the dirty bird? What was his name?
Anderson,
the running back. Yeah, that
Anderson. Yeah,
famous
Michael Vick.
Yeah,
Michael Vick is one that you can think of. Gonzalez.
Tony Gonzalez, yes.
Yeah.
The greatest tight ends in history. So here's the next one.
Steve McNair.
Oh,
Air McNair.
Air McNair. Man, was he good.
He was.
Rest in peace. Rest in peace, Air McNair.
Can't put your wink in crazy, man.
Oh, no. And he did. He fell victim to what, John Morant is dealing with. His homies really aren't his homies, but
no.
As I was saying earlier with Tim's comment.
Oh, USC. Oh, Jesus. What's his name? God, I can't think it off the top of my head. I don't know. Carson Palmer.
No, okay. There. Well, if you look on the screen, there it is right there, Reggie Bush.
I'm not Reggie Bush. I'm not. I can see all his comments. He keeps Mike Williams. Nobody cares about Mike Williams.
Matt Leinart. They've had an impressive list of.
I mean, Carson Palmer, he did well.
Oh yeah, he did. He did well.
No, he did well.
He was one of the first of the really big name quarterbacks that they had like a 10-year run with. Good old
Alabama.
Tide.
Alabama. Trying to think of one that's Bear Bryant. That's legendary coach, right?
Yeah, you can't go wrong with that. That's for sure.
Yeah.
The old the cap, the cap,
Yep.
the old grandpa hat that he would wear.
Yep. Oh yeah. Oh, Ken Griffey Jr. Come on now.
Yep. I was
the kid.
I was hoping that you were going with that sweetest swing ever.
Now his rookie card. It was in the Topps traded. His picture in that was taken outside the dugout at Tiger Stadium.
A lot of the cards back in that era, a lot of the Topps cards in that era, you could see that really dark blue.
Yep.
Looks like it was painted over 500 times. There was probably 4 inches of paint on concrete. So yeah, that's.
I may or may not have a couple of those, right?
Well, how about the upper deck where they make an excessive amount that year for his rookie card? There was a big scandal, wasn't there?
Yeah, I'm sure there was. I probably have 5 of them in different variations. So
yeah, but he's
all graded.
Nice. So last one.
Oh man, Joe Mauer,
good one,
or Frank Viola, or Kirby Puckett,
Jack Morris,
or Paul Molitor. I mean, the list goes on and on and
Yep.
on.
Puckett was an absolute machine.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
What was he like? 5'6", 5'7", but man, could he jump. He would steal home runs left and right.
Who's that? Maurer and Justin
Morneau, yeah. He had to retire from concussions. He would have been a Hall of Famer probably.
So Joe Maurer?
Morneau, I think.
Oh, Morneau.
Well, brothers, yeah.
You know that Joe Maurer, a fun fact, is that he was heavily recruited to play quarterback for Florida State. And Florida State pretty much said, if you ever decide to quit playing baseball, you'll have a scholarship at I think that was Bobby Bowden at the time or something like that. So obviously he's gone, and that probably went to the wayside, right?
Well, he was a legendary catcher, and then ended up and finished his career at first base because
knees couldn't handle it.
15 so many years in the bigs playing catcher. That's tough. Quick update: Miami 42, Boston 31 with 4.5 to play in the second. Rather surprising there. So, you know what time it is?
Ain't my money, ain't my problem.
Yes, you are correct. This is our fun segment where we give you the pick. You turn around, go on those apps, make it, win a few bucks, and hey, who knows? Throw us a little line here. Hey, you never know. Rich, you were ill prepared last week. Like we sprung this up on you like it was a big surprise. Oh, what are we doing here? I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Are you ready today to
yes,
give the pick? Because obviously it ain't your money, so it's
ain't my problem.
You got it. What you got this week?
All right, so this week, tomorrow, I got the Padres playing in Miami. I'm going to go the over under. I'm going to go the over 8. I think the Padres are overdue for some offensive power here. So I got it. It's like plus 100 on the FanDuel. So I'm going to take the Padres and the over 8.
Did you happen to see Tatis in New York the other night?
No, it's terrible. Terrible.
They were heckling him.
Oh yeah, terrible. They were terrible to him.
And he was just like, I don't know what he was making some gyrations with his hands, and it was like, what does that say about a player that is just giving in to these fans? Like, where's his head? Does he need to be a bit more focused, or is it just the way he is?
It might need to be a little more focused, right?
I could, especially after missing all of last year for being an idiot. So yeah, I mean, that's a team that has so much talent, and they just haven't been able to pull together. So Good pick here. I'm going to stay close to home. I'm going to go tomorrow night here in Detroit. We didn't really hit on it with the Tigers earlier. Alex Faedo had a 10 strikeout performance on Thursday, his last outing. Tigers get shut out today. Abysmal showing. Generally, they do pretty well after games that they've been shut out because they've been shut out a lot this year. I like the momentum Faedo has going in, although Texas's pitcher, I can't think of his name right now. He's 4-1 with the ERA under 1.5. But I like Detroit here. Give me
Perez,
right. Give me the Tigers money line. Now it's a 3-leg parlay here. Over under runs in the first under 0.5, and the first to score a run was the Tigers. So those 3 legs was a plus 425. So I've got confidence in my Tigers, and hopefully they can pull it out and get back on the winning track. Now they're 2 games under 500. So Tim's making a bold prediction to win the AL Central. We did
talk about that
on this in the first segment, Tim. So if you go back and watch the beginning, I posed the question to Rich. Excuse me. Where do you see the Tigers we won't say at the end of the season. We'll say at the All-Star break, where could they be? Are they in the mix? So we'll check it out. I think you will agree where our estimation is. So with that being said, we're going ahead and close this bad boy out tonight. Again, JP, man, we miss you. Hopefully you can get this internet situation taken care of because, man, are you good with the show? So I'm going to go with you, Rich. You got anything closing thoughts today?
Yeah, I kind of shared it with you guys a little bit earlier this week, especially with Memorial Day coming up. I mean, so we do have a lot of service members who serve the country who serve, protect us and give us the freedoms that we enjoy to come on and podcast. But there's a lot of things, and there's a stigma behind it all. Is PTSD. It doesn't just only happen to our men and women in uniform. It also happens to police. It happens to fire. It happens to anybody who's had anything traumatic. And the only thing I really want to say is that if you ever feel like you're the only one there and nobody will help you, there's always somebody there that'll listen. There's always somebody there that'll help. I'm a firm believer that the power of conversation means a lot to certain people, and kindness is infectious. If you're kind and you treat everybody with a good heart, positive things can happen, and it can change a lot of people's lives. I know that my family's been affected by PTSD, and let's just put it at that. Just, if anybody ever needs to talk, anybody ever needs seek help, should call me, send me a message, that type of thing. So
send a message to the Easyspeak Facebook page. I mean, we are responsive, and if we can help anybody, we would be more than happy.
Yeah, and never feel like you're alone. There's always somebody there. So,
and that leads to one of the things we've talked about, off camera, some of the ideas that we've had moving forward. Obviously, we're a sports podcast, but there's more to life than just sports. And being men, I think you nailed it. It's a perfect word. The stigma, the mental health stigma. Men have a lot of pride, and sometimes it's hard to swallow it. And they deal with a lot of issues, and they're afraid to come out. They're afraid to express themselves because they might feel like they're less of a man. And I think yeah, absolutely. I think a lot of men deal with that, whether it's in their career, whether it's in a relationship. So what we're going to do moving forward, obviously, it's downtime in the sporting season. Summer is usually just baseball, ramping up for college and NFL. But we're gonna unveil a new segment here in the coming weeks. It's going to be called the Misunderstood segment, and the miss is going to be men in society. And we're going to hit on a topic each week. Like I said, whether it's a career situation, how to handle kids, relationship wise, did something happen? We want to help somebody. I want to be able to have this platform maybe reach somebody that wouldn't normally listen to us or watch us. So we're going to move on to a new aspect of our creativity. And we come from different walks of life. We're going to bring on guests that have similar situations that they'll be able to bring to the viewing audience, to the listening audience. So we're going to kind of turn a page in the evolution of the Easyspeak. We started 3 years ago, just a couple of bumbling idiots talking sports, sitting at the Speakeasy bar. I think we've really become a different entity, and now we have ability to be on a platform where our message might be able to reach some people. So look for that in the coming weeks. I'm really excited about it. Rich kind of made a comment. JP made a comment in his closing thoughts last week that just really sent my mind into overdrive. And I've dealt with some things in my time, and maybe my story can resonate with somebody else. So I look forward to that. I'm super excited about the potential that has. But moving on, next week's going to be a fun show. I'm looking forward to it. We're going to have a guest on. His name is Matt Cowan. He is a former minor league umpire, and he used to be a relative of mine. I still consider him family. He's a great guy. He's got a really great story, a weight loss story. So we're going to kick off this segment with him. Lost a lot of weight to become an umpire, and he did it. He set his mind to it, did it. Now he does Ironman challenges, and he does these long distance gravel road bike tours, races. It's incredible. He's an inspiration. I look forward to having him on the show. So we're going to have him on. Obviously, the finals in both leagues are going to be underway. NFL is 365, 24/7. So there's bound to be news. Who knows? D-Hop might end up somewhere. So we'll talk about that. But with that being said, guys, thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for listening. My mic doesn't seem to want to work tonight. Don't forget to like and follow us on all the socials. That really helps us out, gets the word out. Look for more reels we're putting out throughout the week. But definitely go and tell your friends, tell your family, give us a follow. And we look forward to seeing you again right back here next week. We'll see you guys.
See you.
Thank you for listening to another episode of Easy Speak at Speakeasy 330. You can find us on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. You can also catch us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. We look forward to catching you right back here next week for another fun-filled episode of Easy Speak at Speakeasy 330.